Vietnamese, and it's going to be very simple. You just say chào ông, chào anh, chào bà, chào cô. And Nancy, I'm having trouble. How do I say chào cô? But you're also upper level.
Oh.
So now
I didn't know that.
we have to change you to chào bà.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
chào bà means a highly respected female, usually grandmother, because the grandmother is respected.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The rest of the old people are not if they're not grandmothers.
Oh.
So beware,
Well, she's a great
ladies.
grandmother.
Sorry.
She's a great grandmother, so she ought to really be
Yeah,
respected.
right.
We're expecting our 9th great grandchild.
Wow. My.
Congratulations. Amazing.
Well, Paul, you chào ông. Cal, chào ông.
Oh, I don't know what.
Oh, yeah.
That may be bottom of the barrel.
You are elevated. And if you were a doctor and a medical doctor, we'd say chào ông bác sĩ. Yes.
How long did it
But
take you to
our
learn that?
little young squirt here,
Yeah.
this little young squirt, is hard for me to tell you what I should say. Chào anh, chào ông. I'm just, hello.
That'll be better, yeah. It's universal.
Yes.
So it gives you an idea. I'm saying hello to you. Chào ông, kom anh qua kom. I don't have to say call mine qua come. I can just say chào, your name, mine qua, and that's good enough. And all you have to do is look at me and say mine qua. Mine qua. And then I'll pull a long one on you, because you see, I got to be part tribal, believe it or not. And I've got the ring to prove it.
Huh.
And it's not something you put on your finger. It's not something you put through your nose. It is a ring made out of a rod. But if I use that, I'm tribal. And I have to say to you with your name, Yamsak, Rangadang So. That is the Coho tribal language for Chào ông Manh Qua in Vietnamese. If you had grown up with Hakren, you'd be speaking two languages too.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because he
because
would have
Hakren
taught
had
you,
both
and
languages.
you would have learned.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes,
I told
indeed.
you he was sharper
I
than
know.
But,
I'm telling you.
That gets some of the information out to you that you will need, because I'm sure you'll be talking Vietnamese by the time this is over. We have to remember, you know, I met Sam, and Betty says, "This is Sam." Sam. Sam looks at me and says, "You're Vietnamese, aren't you?" And Sam says, "No, I'm white." And there was this big argument between Sam and these people that come to know him. They want to say, "You're white." And Sam says, "No, I'm Vietnamese." And he can explain that sometime. But I'm Vietnamese, I'm American, I'm, well, like my dad said, you're a mongrel. So anyway, the reason that I wrote this, I don't want to take away, we're here to help Sam become Sam the Vietnamese, because Sam didn't grow up with the rest of the orphans when they left the ranch and went to Dallas. And they had 5, 6, some had 10 years there, and some stayed for a long time. And you would have gotten into the language and more into it, and you would have enjoyed it. On the other hand, you would not have enjoyed the regimentation that you have to go through. So I wrote this to give an idea to all of us after we've discussed who we are, what we've done, what we know about this thing, so that Sam can know it. We're here to honor Sam, and not me, not even the orphans. But this is a story about all of us that had our hand in the move of this. And I just made a quick outline. It reads forever. It's a rough draft. I am not a writer. I decided I would not use this marvelous academic language that you're used to in medicine.
Thank you.
But I would even go sometimes stoop as low as Arkansas.
Oh.
But anyway, it's broken down into some sections and some subheadings, et cetera, like any good bureaucrat would do. The first section is on enemy in pursuit. Cross the Red Sea. And that was the Pacific Ocean. And it's all about that. And it sure enough was a Red Sea. They left a Red Sea. So after we got through looking at all these kids in a ranch house that I thoroughly enjoyed, that was thoroughly air conditioned by the breeze.
They were cold even there.
Yeah.
They
They
were
wore
freezing cold.
They wore sweaters.
Cold. I have a picture of them playing after eating under the blankets because they were cold outside in the heat.
Oh.
But anyway, before I left, I was ready to go home. I had to get practice, I had to get with it. And someone came up to me and behold, I had a proposition made I couldn't refuse. And you'll read about that. And then there's a section in there on the Exodus retold. Very interesting because there are two exodi. There's an Exodus leaving from one place and an exodus from the other, and they coalesce. And it's all about how this happened, that you should have a coalescent Exodus, and what happened and where it happened and how did it happen. And then there's a section on out of the wilderness, explore surroundings. If you take home a Vietnamese kid who's 19, instead of being someone who's got brains and sense and knows what's going on, you have to realize that he's a boy. And anything that's round is a button you push, whether it turns on the motor or, the electric light or goodness knows what. And I have to educate this smart but very dangerous young man.
That was hot Korean.
That was Hakrin. So the proposition obviously was, you take him home. Shut up and take him home. So that's what I did. And when we got home, we had to get into learning, both educational and the public school system, and what I could do at home. So I locked him up in a one-bedroom apartment until I could get back from the office and give him some basic information, what is a washing machine, all of these things. Goodness knows, he may have climbed in thinking that's how you shower. So then I took him on trips again and again, because he found work almost instantaneously. An absolute miracle. You will read about it. If I tell about it, you will just be as surprised as I was when I got a call. You gotta help us, there are only 98. That was from Nancy one morning. Says, the people who care are going to sponsor the Cameron City Orphanage. There are only 98. Can you help us? You gotta help us. Please help us. Well, I was just going sailing. So anyway, I said, okay, I'll help you, but I don't want to get too involved. So the next time,
Forget that.
the next thing I did was take him on trips that would be educational in between times that he was working, which was a miracle job, and going to school, which was a miracle that we found the schooling that we did in the public school in Houston. We were saved from the great flood in Colorado that wiped out the canyon that year, and with all the folks and all the campers and so lost, the boulders, the highway, everything. We missed it just by the last car across the bridge. And then I have something on Harris County and on Houston Community College, and finally on citizenship. People wonder, why did you wait? You're you're almost a grown adult. You are a grown adult. Why? Everyone else gets their citizenship. There's an interesting explanation in here from Ha as to why he wanted to wait. And I think you'll agree. And then we came to the absolutely unbelievable international intrigue when a lady by the name of G-Y-R, whose husband's an international law attorney, got a note on a napkin when she was visiting a little old restaurant in Vietnam. Says, this is the name, we want you to find him, he's our son, we don't know what happened to him.
Wow.
Ooh. Well, we'd had many attempts from Viet Cong to try to find out about where Hakrin's family was and where he was. And he could tell, because in his language, you can learn Kho language perfectly, but you cannot use it. There's a diction between, the difference between purely a diction and identifying a word and how you use the words. That tipped him off and kept us from getting involved with the Viet Cong. So, and then I have the last section on survival amongst defeats. So, you don't want to read it now. I've got the volumes, but like I say, the thing we want to honor is this.
Yeah.
And this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, you remember that.
Well, I remember these pictures. I was little.
Sure.
I was super little.
You were just a,
We
you were
can't-
just a
we
little
can't
squirt.
see
That's
that
just
on-
another extra
That's
picture.
the one that we
And
had in it.
this was
Yeah, that's.
a fight between me and one of the boys.
Oh.
One evening, word got out on the ranch that you're not gonna stay here very long, we're getting ready to move you to Buckner. And so 3 boys, Hakrin one of them, one by the name of Kai, who was an artist and a musician, by the way, at age 18, and one that was in the picture decided they wanted to live with me. I said, 1-bedroom apartment. I said, nope, we've already checked with our staff, and the staff says you can go so long as you come back tomorrow. So we did, and that's where the funny picture of the banana fight came. That's Kai, and he was an absolute cut up. By the way, his friend Dokak Man, both of them roomed together after a while at Buckner, and Kai became minister of music and youth director at the Vietnamese church here in Houston. And Dokak Man became director of youth and something else at a church out in California. And then there's a story about the ghost in there, and you will really want to read the story about the ghost and about the cave that was the method of execution.
Oh dear.